Hi, this is Cassie with MyCounselor.Online, and today I have the pleasure of chatting, meeting with Sean Lauder, one of our awesome therapists on the team, and today we get to talk about his article, Victims and Martyrs. So thanks for meeting with me today, Sean.
Yeah, Cassie, I'm glad to be here.
Cool. So let's jump into your article. I thought that this title was intriguing. I was like, okay, Victims and Martyrs. So I was interested to see how you were going to flesh out those terms and what that was going to look like. And my first question is, as I was getting into your article, do you most often see one of these roles in one gender, or are they it could be either or?
It really could be either or. I would say more commonly, I see the victim kind of mindset with men.
Okay.
And I think that just, that has to do with their mindset of I'm just trying to do the best that I can and keep my wife happy, and I just can't do that, and I've got it so rough, and so they end up on this kind of victim mindset. And then I have wives who, God has just wired into women a nurturing desire and component that is important. And so what happens is she's going to do that and give and give and give and give, and everything's going to be good and better. And at the end of the day, she feels like I have given everything and everyone has taken from me. And that's not too far from being someone who's basically a martyr in life.
Yes. I laughed when I read this, and I'm going to read your description. It's a terrible place to be for the woman as the martyr, and if left unchecked, we'll have this once vibrant woman being the emotional equivalent of a children's juice box that has been sucked dry.
Yeah.
I thought that was awesome. I was like, yeah, I have felt like that.
Yeah. Well, I don't know that any, especially women who've been moms, you're probably going to feel like a sucked dry juice box at some point.
Yes.
Because life is pretty emotionally depleting at times. But it does become, am I allowed to get filled up? Do I take that seriously?
Yeah.
Do I move to a space where I view the depleting nature of life as I'm being a martyr, or do I view it as, wow, I need to go take care of myself a little bit?
Yeah. Yeah. It's having that self-awareness and what we're going to do, because the challenge is going to be there.
Oh, yeah.
What we're going to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
So in your story, in your article, you tell this story, and I thought this was hilarious. You're talking about how men, it's their goal to try to figure their wives out, make their wives happy and keep the peace. And you talked about how this husband and wife left a party, and the wife was so upset because he didn't give her enough physical affection while they were at the party. And so then he made it his mission at the next get together. He's like, next time we go out together, I know just what's going to make her happy. I'm going to touch her and she's going to be so happy. But the next meeting was a work gathering, and it was your boss, and your husband is being all handsy and affectionate. Like, I'm trying to be a professional.
Yeah.
So I just cracked up. So how do you avoid, how do you teach husbands how to balance that? One is, I appreciate his heart.
Yeah.
I felt the frustration for the wife because she's like, hello.
Yeah.
This is not the right time. But to him, he's just trying to do what makes her happy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So for men, I don't want to take any of the good attributes of either of these mentalities that are not inherently bad and just totally throw them away. Yeah. Men have a go figure it out, do a great job, kind of conquer mindset in that. And so what I want to suggest to men is just let's add another layer to this. Yeah, you want to win. Yeah, you want to do a good job. And I hope you do in that. But we got to have a little more, we got to have some other components to what we're thinking about. And so what I want to do with men, what I find is helpful for them is rather than continually keeping a list of rules, which is what we tend to do. We're playing the game and we're trying to figure out the rule book. And so we go through and we're like, new rule.
We know
Yep.
how to follow the rules. If we can just follow the rules, we'll have victory.
That's right. And you know who writes those rules, right? And so that's not a good recipe, because what ends up happening over time is his rule list gets longer and he starts looking at her and saying, why do I have to do all this stuff to make you happy? Which, again, is his thing. That's what's going on in him. And so what I have men do, or what I suggest to them, I said, let's take a little responsibility for that. And what I want to do there is I want to be able to share my heart with my wife rather than figuring out how to make her happy. And it might go something like this, as that guy is talking about what he tried to do there. He may be able to share and say, honey, sometimes when we go to these events, I really don't know what to do. And when you're upset or you're not pleased with me, I get unsure. I get insecure. I don't feel close or connected to you.
Yeah.
All right. What's interesting about that is he's not coming up with rules there. He's connecting with her.
I know, immediately just hearing you say that, I immediately feel the connective bond. As
Yeah.
like, oh,
That's right.
Not anymore. I'm so happy you care about connecting.
That's right. And what's interesting about that is it's not just that she'll maybe feel more connected.
Yeah.
And that what'll happen for him, and what I find, and men don't realize this at first, it's a new thing. I say, listen, this is going to open up a kind of a nurturing, attentive side of you that you don't realize you have. Because the end result of this is later on when they're out at a party or doing something like that, like he's automatically more attentive to what's going on and what she needs than he was ever able to be before. And it's not because of rules, it's because he loves her and he's attentive.
Yeah. There's
so it's almost like, that's right, there's a bond there, there's a connection there, and it wakes up that part. And so again, it's not a rules-based thing or here's what I have to do. It's I love her and I'm attentive to her. Yeah. It's a really cool thing on his side.
Yes. Yes. So from her side, how can she make that to be connective?
Yeah.
Having a martyr about the situation.
Mm-hmm.
So, you never know. You don't even try. If you loved me, then you would figure it out.
That's right.
You're a fixer, and in every area of your life, you fix things and you figure them out. But when it comes to me, you never figure it out.
That's right. That's right. I have to tell you, and then you even really want to do it. It's just because I'm making you, and it's just a dead end. And so, one of the things.
I don't have any personal experience.
No, well, I don't have any personal experience trying to, figure my wife out either. So, but, for her, I want to go back to probably some core mindsets that she has about life. I want to go back and say, what are you telling yourself about how life is supposed to go? What are you telling yourself love would look like in that? Because we really want to unpack some things. She's desiring a love that she's constructed, and it goes probably something like, again, if you loved me, you would know how to take care of my heart for me, which is very different than you would care about my heart.
Yes.
It's a subtle but really important difference. I want my husband, if he really loves me, to know how to effectively take care of my heart for me versus caring about me. And there's really no way not to end up in a bitter, resentful, empty place when you are thinking like that, when you believe like that. And a lot of times, I tap into, I'll talk with women about some really deep-seated fear there about not being loved, not being cared for, that underlies that. Because there's just like for men, there's a desire to connect. Women, there's a desire to connect. And so sometimes as we're looking at that, there's this sense that if he doesn't take care of my heart for me, I'm not really loved or cared about in life.
That's such a heavy weight.
It is.
For him to bear, but also for her to have out of her control.
Yeah. And so it taps into some fear too. Even looking at that, sometimes it's really scary to let that go. Because even though we're like, okay, in theory, I get that I want to get to a place where he can care about me, I'm really nervous about that. I don't know that I like the sound of that. Maybe I'm going to get left or abandoned, and I'm not good with that. And so what I go back to with her, is, yeah, I'm going to take some personal responsibility. Let's look at the fear. Let's look at the concerns that underlie that for you, the beliefs that you have, about love.
Yes.
And now let's move into a little bit what it means to care about yourself.
It always comes back to that, Sean.
It does. God's given us, again, different strengths, and sometimes, I think the enemy likes to use ways which God has blessed us and made us and turn them against us. And so, again, I think God has gifted women with an ability to be nurturing, encouraging, to be attentive, but sometimes that can get twisted and turned into something where that's her identity. There's nothing underneath any of that. It's just that she takes care of others.
Yeah.
And so, the conversation I want to maybe start having with her is about how she sees and values herself. How she values getting her needs met.
Yes.
And defining who she is as a woman. Who are you?
Yeah.
Because if you don't have that, if you don't have a firm anchor in that, life and its demands are going to blow you around. You're going to get caught up in those things. You're going to end up living in a very reactive way. And you'll go right back to trying to meet every need and everything everybody else needs.
Yeah.
And you won't have a sense of you. And if you don't have a sense of you, you're not a very fun person to be around.
Yeah.
That's a really hard spot to be.
Yeah. Totally. It always makes me think of, like, if we could wrap our minds around, like, if we think about the people in our lives as women that we love to nurture and that we love to encourage, and just how valuable they are to us.
Yeah.
People are so valuable. We just adore them.
Yeah.
If we can wrap our minds around, like, that's how valuable we are.
Yeah.
God intends and wants for us to be nurtured and us to be comforted and us to be filled up with the abundance that he has for us also. Suddenly we're not out of the equation of his children because there are other people that we want to nurture.
That's right. And we don't end up in a position where we come to our husband as the one spot this should all come from.
Oh my gosh. That's a
so all the frustration and all the resentment for not getting needs met gets poured out on him.
Yeah. That's like you got to get that down. I mean, marriage is so sweet and so beautiful, but if we don't get that piece of it, it can't grow into something sweet and beautiful, because that's a gaping hole that never ends.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah. So that's good. So good. I love this this word picture of victims and martyrs, and it helps to have some terminology and to have some mindset pieces around it, so that when these things do come up, and they will come up because they are just a part of who we are, our brokenness, our selfishness. Like, one day maybe we won't do it again, but for now we're in relationship with people and they're broken and we're broken, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Like, still a beautiful piece of we're the church. And so it is, like, helpful to have that thought in mind so that we can catch ourselves when we're doing these things and say, wait a second, actually, I'm feeling empty right now, and it's not his job to make me feel better. It's my job to figure out what I need to do to fill myself between me and God, so that I can continue to give and to nurture the way that I have been blessed to be created.
And in the future, what's good about that is it's not a situation where either one of us ends up abandoned or on our own. We actually get to get our needs met better.
Yeah.
I like to highlight for people, this is not going to be you in a room with your Bible and nobody cares,
Really is.
you'll actually be able to go to your spouse and get more of what you need on both sides. And that thrills me for people.
Yeah, it's like, if you're not constantly saying, I need,
Mm-hmm.
I want you to do this, then when you do come and you say, hey, I really need a hug right now, or hey,
Mm-hmm.
we make time to go to dinner together, to be together,
Yeah.
I need to connect. Like,
Or like the husband, like we said before, just naturally out of that opening up and connection, he's getting better at being attentive.
yes.
And
Yeah,
what a cool thing that is.
it is. It's so beautiful. So this is a great article, Sean. Thank you for meeting with
Mm-hmm.
me, for sharing this, taking the time to share this with others, because we all have that deep down need for relationship and
Mm-hmm.
connection. We all want it to be beautiful, but it's
Yeah.
hard to get there. And there's a lot of personal responsibility in that. And we need to see that. And this gives us tools to be able to see that and engage that and grow in that direction of the beautiful connection that we are all after. I'm like laughing, thinking of, I'm such a woman that I give it this terminology.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. We just, that'll work.
Yeah, so if you want to check out other articles by Sean Lauder, or if you want to check out any of the articles by our amazing team of therapists, you can find them at MyCounselor.Online. Sean, thanks for meeting with me today.